Okay, so what I want to do is I want to put some hair on this character. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make a quick duplicate of the character. Let's just isolate it for a second. And let's see if I can get rid of some of these faces really quick. Boop. And delete, delete, delete. And I've got a soft selection on here. I'm not crazy about that. Actually, what do I do? This one? There, get rid of that, get rid of that. Okay, great. And what have I got? Get rid of this. And just getting rid of a bunch of faces I probably won't need. So what I'm doing is I'm making what I call a scalp. Okay, and I could do a better job. I could make a couple of scalps, but this should be good. Actually, I was thinking this character here I might do a mohawk on. I want to do a mohawk. Let's do this. Delete that. I'm going to keep this super, super simple. I could have done this much faster. Okay, and what else do I have here? I just have a few things that are kind of bothering me, so I'm just going to take this, and this edge, and if I just delete those, great. And I might do a quick cleanup on this too. Let's just grab that one vertex here, we'll pull this down, something like that. And if I go in here, edge, and split. Actually, you know what? I want to keep the contour. So if I go and I get the insert edge loop tool, and if I hold down shift, book, it'll do this for me. I'm trying to keep everything kind of squarish. Okay, great. Because that'll make it when I put in the hair, it'll keep it kind of a bit more on the even side. There. I almost don't want to put one in there. Okay, great. That should be great. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to grab my faces. I should check before I do this and make sure that my UVs are in my 0 to 1 area, and they're not. Here, I'm just going to sew everything together, and then I'm going to hit unfold, and I'll grab this. I could also use this and stick it in here. I'm just going to make sure it's not going towards the edge. Okay, great. And I'm just going to delete the history on it. Done. Okay, so now that I got this little piece done here, let's go back and I'll name this thing and I'm going to call it scalp. Done. And I want to put some hair on it. I'm going to use a, let's see, if I hit Control F11, that'll convert my selection to faces. I have to have faces selected. I'm going to zip into FX, and in FX I'm going to go into the nHair and I'm going to create nHair and just make sure I'm on the default settings, and then I switch it. There's grid, which is based on UVs, and then there's at faces, which is also, it's important you have your UVs laid out. If you don't, it's not going to work. Okay, it's going to act funny. So I'm going to create hairs. Holy cow, what a mohawk that is. I wish I had gone down a few more faces. Maybe I'll do that later. But now, if I press play, we'll see the hair falls down. Okay. And if I go into the attribute editor for the hair, we can see the hair system here. Let's go into the clump hair, and we need to be on frame 1, so I'm going to go to frame 1. Let's see if this is too far out. Nope. Okay. And hairs per clump is at 10. We can crank that up if we need to. It will slow down the simulation, but we'll see how many we need. Subsegments, I suspect if I go ahead and I let this go down a little bit, you'll start to see little kinks. And you can see kinks through there. I can take this up like 1 or 2, and that'll smooth the hairs out. You don't want to have too many, it'll slow down. Also, too, I'm going to play with the thinning, so there's not all exactly even. It looks a little bit better. Okay. And clump width. The clump width, right now, all these little clumps are on each face here, and I made them relatively even. You see if I do this, they get really narrow and thin. If I keep going like this, they kind of overlap, and that looks a bit better. Okay. The hair width, you might increase that a tiny bit here. You'll have to see what you like when you're rendering. Also, you want to style this a bit more. Anything here I care about? No. The big one I care about down here is dynamic properties, and there's something called the start curve attract. So here, let's go ahead and we'll press play. When I press play, if I crank up start curve attract, it does that. Okay, so my hair is it's attracting to the original position quite well. That's cool. But I like to give it a bit of style, and this one's a really easy haircut to style. So if I select it and I go into nHair and I go to display, let's push this over here. I'm going to do the display start position, and there is my curves, and I'm just going to select them here. I'll probably be faster if I go into the outliner for a second here, and I just grab this, and let's make this isolated. And then if I go in and I grab just the curves, leave the follicles alone, I'm going to go into nHair, modify curves, and I'm going to lock their length. So they're all stayed at the same length. Okay, great. You can also change the length of some of these curves here quite easily. If I grab a couple, I'll go over to the nHair and I'll go to the scale hair tool, and I can make these significantly shorter. Switch over here to this tool, grab a couple of these, go to the scale hair tool, and all I'm doing is like middle clicking. I'm just trying to give it some a little bit a little bit of variance. Okay. Actually, I'll take that one. You can't select anything while you have this tool on. It's kind of, I don't know. It's okay. Oh, see, I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to select curves. I'm not allowed to. So, switch. And okay, and I'm bored. I can spend a lot. Oh, you bastard! Okay, good enough. Something like that. Okay, and the other thing I can do is, oh, I did it again. Control Z, switch to the move tool. I can go up here and select some of these curves, and you can style them. And how to style them is since I've locked the length of them, I want to get to the last curve on the CV. If I go here to select last CV, okay, you can go ahead and do a little bit of work like this, pull it forward and back. You can see that some of them are behaving quite interesting. Let's undo and go back to this position. I kind of like that. I'm just going to grab my scale tool, and I'm going to see if I can kind of scale these together. Okay. Might have to do this a little bit different, so I'm going to go into select last CV, and I'm just going to switch to my move tool. Move tool is a bit more reliable. There, grab those ones. I'm just going to hit G and convert the selection, and I can go in and kind of wave these around a little bit, make something kind of interesting. Okay, takes a little bit to style this. It's not easy. Okay, let's look at it from here, this position. And I'm just going to hit G. And we'll see what happens if I go in and grab my scale tool. The scale tool doesn't really want to behave, so let's just try using the move tool. And I do this and they all go into this position. That's kind of nice. And I'll just hit G. Okay, and I'm starting to tune out. Okay, I'm kind of off in my own little world as I'm doing this. And let's grab these, and I'll hit G, repeating the last tool command. Okay, and okay, I'm almost done my little fancy things. And just because as I'm doing this, it might be hard to see what the hell I'm doing. Here, let's go in and we'll do a little bit of this. Okay, good enough. And what if I hit G? Okay, let's do that, and then up this way. Okay, great. And I'll say it's good enough. If I go back and I show the current position, okay, because I'm on isolated select, I don't see anything. Current position, I should be on frame 1 as I'm styling. There we go. You can kind of see what I'm pulling off here. So we'll say that looks entertaining. I could spend a bit more time on this, but that's really all you have to do. What time is it? 10-minute mark. So the last thing you have to know about is you want the hair to follow your rig. Well, when we test it, we have to be on frame 1, but we also have to have that scalp piece. So we've got the scalp here. Where are you, scalp? Probably in the body shape somewhere. There it is right there. It's got a little junk node on it. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of that just because I know it's junk. If I take the scalp, see it's selected here, and if I go into my skeleton and I grab this bone and I go flying over into rigging and I go to skin, bind skin, and I do just the selected joints, bloop, done. And so if I'm on frame 1, when I'm going in and testing out this, boop, it should follow it along. Okay, everything's cool. And that's it. That's every pair of shoes in the place for the hair. Oh, I should mention maybe that if I go in here to the attribute editor, if I go in here to the hair system, something we are going to look at later on is getting into the Arnold for going into the hair shader. There is some hair shader stuff that's on it, but the Arnold hair shader is much better. Okay, maybe one other thing, if you don't want it to, you don't want your geometry to crash into your skin, you can take your skin and you go into, back into FX, and under end cloth you can make it into a passive collider. So the hair won't go in and crash into the hair, or into the skin. So that's it. That's every pair of shoes in the place.